My name is Sid. Are we good on mic check, etc.? All right, sounds good. So it's also Jefferson's birthday, so a very good way to celebrate public service. So happy Founders Day. I'll get right into it because I only have 10 minutes. So a brief outline of what I'm going to talk about. This is Shilitsi. He's one of our main community partners. Is there any way we can turn off this section of lights? All right, thank you. Sorry. We are going to go through, like, why are we focusing on water and sanitation, given that you probably have been exposed to a bunch of different water and sanitation projects today. I think they'll, hopefully, by the end of this day, you'll be convinced. And we're looking at across the world and why we're focusing specifically on Limpopo. Look specifically at the problem statement, what our idea was, and then we'll go through the results of what we found and some recommendations for the future. So why water and sanitation? Because people die without water, which is the essence of life, and it's been causally linked to diarrheal diseases. So, for example, if you have improper access to water, as defined by the World Health Organization, you essentially are not receiving the water in a protected manner. And in Africa alone accounted for 46% of diarrheal diseases related deaths. And we're looking specifically at South Africa, but I wanted to say that our battle for why we need to go to the developing countries is indeed important. 1.5 million people, children under the age of 5 die every year. Without proper access, leading to diarrheal diseases. And in 2006, there were close to 700 million cases. So has it been improving? Yes. So this was in 1990, and as you can see, I guess I have a laser pointer, so there's no need to walk right in front of the slide. You see, like, this is the urban part, and you see, like, actually improving. And then over here, this is the rural part. This is where a majority of the population lies, and this graph is pertaining to South Africa in general. And you've seen it actually improves pretty tremendously. So that's good. Especially given the grand context of there's almost close to 750 million, so that's 1 in 8 people that don't have improved access. And currently there's over 2.5 billion that's without access to proper sanitation. So that's really important figures to consider, again, because people are literally dying from improper access. Sub-Saharan Africa is very symptomatic of this problem. So why Limpopo, South Africa? As my professor, Professor Louis, who unfortunately could not make it to this, likes to say, it's not just symptomatic of the problem, it's almost like an ideal case study to study. And I know this sounds really bad, but you have this mixture of poverty, you have this mixture of people without the proper access, people without the proper knowledge, and then at the end of the day, they are motivated, and which is one of the driving reasons that we chose these two communities of Shapacha and Shabumu, which are in Limpopo. And we have a very awesome community partner in the University of Venda. They have been very patient and thorough with this, so we want to keep that partnership going. One thing I do want to highlight is they do receive intermittent water supply. However, since it is intermittent, the water ends up being stored in containers for an extended period of time, which leads to propagation of bacteria. And there are certain things that the community is not necessarily properly aware of, which is the motivation behind why storing water for an extended period of time, or why you should wash hands, etc. And we hope to not rectify, but build that motivation into the project. So what are specific problems? So I already covered that the irregular and improper access to water, and that lies at multiple different levels, not just where the water is being sourced from. You're getting water from the river, which if you go upstream, literally there's a cattle drive there every morning. So the fecal matter of the cattle is in that water, and that's one of the prime ways that bacteria spreads. But also in the treatment. So, like, you can get the water and you can treat away all these negative aspects of it, but as long as you're doing it properly. And then it goes to the actual supply and distribution portion. at the end of the day, you want to get the water to the doorstep, because a lot of what we're looking at is limited to people going upwards of a kilometer to get the water. Also, you have the lack of knowledge with regards to the water system management, so people are not really sure how to maintain and repair, contamination of water, and unfamiliarity. So you can break them down into like three main problems: ecological, technical, and sociocultural, which lead to, of course, impact the community health. So what can we specifically do? What our idea is that with collaborative design and health and hygiene education, we can help improve the capacity of the community, essentially the capability of the community with regards to adapting new technological solutions that may address water-related problems with the motivation. So we broke that up into two parts. As I said, the collaborative design itself focused on the water supply system, and health and hygiene education was more classroom-oriented. We had a few main objectives. At least provide the 25 liters per day. That is, get people, and that meets the South African law of water for every person, 25 liters per day. Meet the World Health Organization's standards for a coliform, and make sure that the water is getting to the doorstep or as close as possible. And at the end of the day, we are not trying to build a system and lead. 40% of World Bank projects end up failing because of that methodology. We want to make sure that the community is maintaining it and is capable of maintaining it. So this is just a graphic highlighting what we're doing. We take the water from the river, make sure it's treated. This is a picture of a slow sand filter. Store it in the storage tank, and then distribute it. So our original work plan for Shapash and Shabumu was to, there was a project before us that went in and built a slow sand filter, so it made sense for us to go and make sure that that was functioning. And I realized that it was not done properly enough, so we redesigned it. And we wanted to redesign it. We wanted to build an initial water supply system for Shabumu. So this is Shapasha. This is one village of 1,000 people. Shabumu is about 2,000 people. And then with both villages to map the existing water lines and engage the volunteers at the end of the day to ensure building capacity. So what actually happened? We realized that the system was far broken than we had perceived it. This was a breakdown of communication between the community itself and ourselves. So we're trying to rectify this. We did rectify this situation for us this coming year, but specifically, with the slow sand filter, it was just not built properly. So we needed to go in and modify that, and that unfortunately took up too much time. Then we shocked the distribution lines to make sure that the pipes were clean, that we ensured that whatever problems that they may have had with regards to water pressure were fixed. But the most amazing part of this is the volunteer experience. In years prior, the first year that we started, there was 5 people. The next year was 10 people. Now we have 30 people. It's definitely growing exposure, and I'll get to this at the end. But we need to go beyond just exposure. With regards to Shabumu, we couldn't do much because, we had spent so much time in Shapasha. But one of the what we did learn a lot with regards to Shabumu, first, received permission to a new water source. Thank you. To a new water source, which was great. So we essentially need to go back to the books. We identified that water source and are designing for the future. So this is a picture of Pamela looking at literally our new water source, which I like a lot. The health and hygiene education, we focused specifically on youth education. We didn't focus on adults as much. We did during our large community meetings, but unfortunately we didn't get to that in a more thorough fashion. But these were high-level concepts such as the water cycle and water supply. Essentially, again, going back to the idea of what is the motivation in preserving the system. These are some of the posters that the health and education team made. They were very well attended. This is one of the towns. Okay, sorry, I guess I ran out of time. I will fast forward to the end, which is, so our idea of combined apprenticeship or combined collaborative design in health and hygiene education almost works, but really we need an apprenticeship system model, and that's our plan for the future. And I believe you have access to the slides, so hopefully you'll get a chance to look at it. We have a new community partner that we're trying to engage with the Vivani Science Center, and we want to reinforce the curriculum through experiential training. So yeah, leave that. Thank you.